Two women built an empire on being loved by millions and lost it while the cameras kept rolling. That is a strange, uncomfortable truth sitting at the center of the Darcey and Stacey Silva story. They did not fade quietly into obscurity the way most reality television casualties do. Instead, their unraveling happened in real time, in front of an audience that had once adored them and slowly, painfully turned away. This is a story of how two identical twins from Connecticut became reality TV's most polarizing sisters, and how fame, surgery, heartbreak, and family loyalty collided until almost nothing was left standing. Darcey and Stacey Silva were born on September 23, 1974, and grew up chasing a version of success that always seemed to sit just out of reach. Darcey studied acting at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute in New York City between 1998 and 2001, later attending the University of Houston and Marshall University, while the sisters quietly nursed ambitions that stretched well beyond modeling or acting classes. Grief shaped their partnership before fame ever touched it. In 1998, their brother Michael Silva died of cancer, and the loss became the emotional foundation of everything the sisters built afterward. In October 2010, Darcey and Stacey launched a clothing brand called House of 11, naming it in tribute to Michael, a mark of loyalty that would remain the one constant thread through every chapter of chaos that followed. They tried other avenues too. A reality pilot called The Twin Life, filmed the same year, never made it to air. They started a production company, 11 Entertainment, and executive produced a 2013 comedy film called White Teeth alongside their father. None of it made them famous. All of it prepared them for what came next. Everything changed in 2017 when Darcey Silva appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days with a Dutch boyfriend named Jesse Meester. Their relationship unfolded on camera as a case study in emotional volatility, filled with arguments over something as small as a glass of wine, and it ended when Jesse flew across the Atlantic for the sole purpose of breaking up with her in person. It was humiliating, and it was must-watch television. Darcey returned for more seasons, this time with a British businessman named Tom Brooks, whom she described as everything Jesse was not, grounded and mature. That relationship collapsed too, after Tom fell for another woman, and eventually told Darcey he loved her only as a sister. What made the aftermath sting even more was that her exes seemed to unite against her afterward, with Tom apologizing to Jesse and Jesse suggesting publicly that they had both been manipulated by the same woman. For a TV audience, it read as a verdict. For Darcey, it became fuel for the next chapter. Meanwhile, House 11 quietly thrived, with celebrities including Demi Lovato, Nicki Minaj, and Jessica Alba spotted wearing the brand, giving the sisters financial footing even as their love lives became public spectacle. Reports at the time placed Darcey's per-season pay from the franchise in the tens of thousands, a modest figure compared to what the clothing brand was generating behind the scenes. Then came the spin-off. On June 29, 2020, Entertainment Weekly confirmed that Darcey and Stacey would headline their own series, and the show premiered on TLC that August, drawing over 2 million viewers and making the network the top performer in its Sunday time slot. The premise practically wrote itself. Darcey's relationship with Bulgarian fitness model Georgi Rusev, and Stacey's long, complicated engagement to Albanian partner Florian Sukic. Audiences leaned in, and for a moment, the twins had exactly the spotlight they had spent a decade chasing. Then came the surgeries, and with them, a shift in public sentiment that neither sister seemed prepared for. During the show's second season, Darcey and Stacey traveled to Turkey for what they called a twin transformation, a combined set of procedures that included fox eye surgery, revision rhinoplasty, cheek lifts, buccal fat removal, body liposuction, and breast lifts, all performed at a clinic that had previously drawn scrutiny for botched results. The twins defended the choice enthusiastically, but online reaction turned sharply critical, with longtime fans expressing something closer to concern than judgment. Entertainment outlets and fan communities alike documented the shift, noting how dramatically different both women looked in photos and video clips that circulated widely. Darcey eventually made her Instagram private after the volume of negative comments became overwhelming, a small but telling detail suggesting the criticism had genuinely gotten to her. Even as backlash mounted, neither sister slowed down, and by the show's third season, Darcey and Georgi were reportedly attending couples counseling while planning a joint wedding with Stacey and Florian, keeping the narrative moving even as public opinion soured. But the surgery controversy was only the surface disturbance. Underneath it, the relationships that had powered the show for years were quietly falling apart. Darcey and Georgie's romance had always been the show's emotional centerpiece, beginning when he messaged her on social media in 2020 and culminating in an engagement by the end of the first season. That engagement broke down, then reconciled, then broke down again after a beach proposal in 2021 failed to hold the relationship together. Darcey confirmed their second split in February 2022, citing a breakdown in communication. She tried moving on through a matchmaker and a handful of unremarkable dates, while Stacey, in the same season, renewed her vows with Florian in an emotional ceremony where Darcey stood beside her as maid of honor. And then, quietly, away from cameras, Darcey married Georgie in late 2023 in a small ceremony attended by only 20 people. She later revealed the wedding date, November 11th, had been chosen deliberately to honor her late brother and the number that anchored the family's brand. It should have been a moment of peace. Instead, within months, Darcey was posting cryptic videos about independence and self-love, hinting that trouble had already returned. Stacey's marriage carried its own weight of pain. She later revealed that relocating to Miami had exposed old wounds, describing a nightlife culture that brought out flirtation and infidelity from Florian, and calling the public nature of his cheating deeply traumatizing. The couple appeared on 90 Day, The Last Resort, the franchise's couples therapy series, hoping to repair what remained. Instead, the show exposed something no one had anticipated, that Darcey herself had allegedly been encouraging Florian to leave her sister, telling him he would be better off single. Stacey accused Darcey of being dangerously entangled in her marriage, and a therapist on the program ultimately recommended family counseling for all three of them together. By the time the franchise's tell-all aired, Stacey confirmed she and Florian were no longer living together, and both twins openly admitted their marriages were struggling. The optimism of 2020 had curdled into something far more fragile and far more human. Then the cameras stopped altogether. In 2023, Darcey and Stacey was quietly canceled, its fourth season premiering that January without any fanfare, and no fifth season ever materializing. Rumors of cancellation spread through fan communities in December 2023, and by early 2024, it was clear the show had reached its end without an official farewell. For two women who had spent nearly a decade building their identities around television, losing the platform was not simply a career setback. It was a removal of the very structure their public lives had been organized around. What followed was an attempt to rebuild without the safety net of a weekly series. Darcey has since said that she and Stacey remain each other's closest support, acknowledging that they clash, but insisting the bond endures because, as she put it, they are twins. They relocated together to Miami and continued growing House of 11, appearing together publicly at events as a sign that whatever damage had been done between them was slowly being repaired. Darcey's marriage to Georgie continued its unpredictable rhythm well into 2025, with periods of visible silence on social media followed by sudden reconciliations, including one cryptic post referencing a message she said came from God telling her to get away from him. Stacey's relationship with Florian, meanwhile, appeared to steady itself, with the couple publicly reaffirming their bond during a family visit to Albania later that year. Through everything, House of 11 remained the one part of their lives that never collapsed. What began as a clothing line honoring their brother has since expanded into beauty products, fragrance, footwear, and home goods, carrying celebrity endorsements that gave it credibility far beyond reality television. Each sister is now estimated to hold a net worth of roughly $2 million, built not from stability, but from an extraordinary willingness to keep working through public embarrassment, family rupture, and physical transformation that alienated even loyal fans. What makes the Silva twin story difficult to categorize is that it refuses to resolve into a simple lesson. It is not purely a cautionary tale about the cost of fame, nor is it a redemption story about resilience. It is something messier and more honest than either, a portrait of two sisters who wanted love, beauty, and recognition all at once, and who were willing to be seen failing at all three in front of millions of strangers rather than disappear quietly. Whether that makes them tragic, foolish, or simply human depends entirely on who is watching. What cannot be denied is that they never stop showing up, cameras or no cameras, criticism or no criticism, and in an industry built on disposability. That persistence is its own kind of story.